In this video, we're going to highlight some of the unique dishes from Inuit food culture. A friendly warning, the content of this video may be unsettling for some. We don't recommend watching while you're eating. You have been warned. The Inuit, a fascinating people. Their total population is less than 200,000, yet they're divided into multiple tribes, living scattered across the Arctic Circle in Russia, the United States, Canada, Greenland, and other regions. It's said that, like the Native Americans of North America, their ancestors came from Asia. This is quite clear from their facial features. These masters of Arctic survival have escaped the noise of the modern world and the turmoil of war. In a world draped in silver, at the pristine white ends of the earth, they developed a completely unique food system. In fact, it's said that traditional Inuit people go their entire lives without cooking with fire, forever following the ways of their ancient ancestors, a diet of raw meat and blood. So today, let's take a look at some of the unique dishes in their cuisine. The local name for snow ice cream is Akutaq. This is a Yupik word. The Yupik are a branch of the Inuit people in Alaska. Akutaq literally means something mixed. So what are they mixing? Oh, nothing too special. Just some seal fat, caribou fat, polar bear fat, or whale fat. To make it, these fats are whipped thoroughly and then mixed with some meat. If the flavor is still a bit too bland, you can go ahead and add various types of animal bone marrow. And the final ingredient to be added is the very soul of this dish, which is all sorts of wild berries that are super rare in the Arctic. And it's the juice from these berries that gives the ice cream its blood red color. This dish holds a special place in the Inuit diet. It has a special status. It's usually only served at special ceremonies, like weddings, funerals, or coming-of-age ceremonies. So what do you think? Sounds pretty good, right? What's that? You want to try making this delicacy yourself? No problem. All you need to do is go to the butcher and get... Just kidding. But if you really want to try making it, you can buy some American-made Crisco online. It's a vegetable shortening. You can use that instead of the animal fat. Then, just like the original, whip it all together and add in whatever berries you like. And there you have it. Still, I'd love to see someone make the original version. You guys can tag your favorite food bloggers and let them know about this recipe. Inuit Pemmican. This is a food common among the indigenous peoples of North America. In fact, it's not just the Inuit. Other Native American tribes, also depending on what ingredients they had on hand, made their own versions. The ingredients for Inuit Pemmican are pretty similar to the snow ice cream. It's also meat, fat, and berries. But the ratios are different. The first one is mostly fat, while this one is mostly meat. And it's usually made with venison, probably because venison is a leaner meat. To make it, you first completely dry out the venison. Then you pound the chunks of meat over and over with a wooden mallet, and then grind the meat into a powder with a pestle. Mix in the fat. And then add whatever berries or grains you have on hand. Finally, you shape it into whatever size and form you want. And once it cools and sets, it's ready to eat. This stuff is basically the Inuit version of an energy bar. They say a single pound packs an incredible 3,500 calories. When they were out hunting or on long migrations, this was their go-to travel food. It's also one of the most fundamental foods for the Inuit. In an era before modern conveniences, because these Inuit meat patties were uniform in shape, they were easy to store and transport. Among the different Inuit tribes, they were even used as a form of currency. During the Great North Pole expeditions of the early 20th century, these meat patties were also the main source of food for the explorers. Muktuk is another traditional Inuit food. As for the ingredients, it has to be whale skin with a good layer of blubber attached. To prepare it, they first cut it into small cubes. Then it's air-dried and ready to eat. Muktuk is usually made from the skin and blubber of bowhead, beluga, or narwhal whales. Originally, they would definitely just eat it raw, but now that things are a bit more modern, they can choose to cook it. For instance, by breading and deep frying it. They say that when eaten raw, this dish has a nutty flavor, but if you eat it frozen, it has a completely different texture. But taste aside, Muktuk is also packed with vitamin C and D. To prevent scurvy, you had to eat it even if it was like taking medicine. But honestly, whales, these long-lived creatures at the top of the food chain, who knows how many heavy metals have built up in their bodies? Scurvy is no joke. But what about cancer? This next dish, Inuit fermented fish heads, comes from the fermented salmon the Inuit often ate. Fishing was one of the key skills that allowed the Inuit to thrive and survive. At certain times of the year, They would catch huge amounts of salmon swimming upstream to spawn, since they caught way too many fish. They could only process the salmon by first taking the most nutritious parts, the roe and the belly. As for the rest of it, the Inuit people chose to build caches right on the spot with stones. A stone cache for storage. It was basically their emergency food supply for lean years. Then later some genius or another discovered that after being stored this way, the semi-fermented fish heads actually tasted pretty darn good. So they started collecting just the fish heads and packed them into big barrels. Then they just let the bacteria do all the work. If the fermentation goes well, you get a feast. If it goes wrong, and you end up with botulism, then I guess everyone's coming to your house for a feast. This next dish is probably pretty infamous. Surströmming is child's play compared to this. Next to this stinky tofu smells like Chanel No. 5. Kiviaq or fermented ox is a lot like that salmon we just mentioned. The one stored in those stone caches. Originally, they were both probably considered emergency rations only eaten when food was scarce. Ox migrate near the Arctic Circle every summer to breed. The Inuit people seized this opportunity to hunt them in large numbers. But to make this delicacy, you need more than just ox. You also need a seal. Hunting seals is another one of the Inuits' traditional skills. Since seals are mammals, they have to come up for air after diving for a while. They keep a few breathing holes open in the ice. The Inuit use this to their advantage. They lie in wait by the breathing holes. Of course, now they have guns, so it's not necessarily so much trouble anymore. They just use a white cloth for cover, line up a shot, and with some skilled marksmanship take the shot. Once the ingredients are ready, first they cut the seal open and remove all the internal organs. After that, they take the ox without any preparation whatsoever and stuff them into the seal's stomach. They say you can stuff over 500 of them in there. Then you press down on the seal's belly with something heavy to get all the air out. Finally, you sew it shut. They even pile on rocks to make it extra airtight. The more refined folks will carefully pluck the feathers and debone them. They dismember it piece by piece. The more adventurous types just aim for the ox rear end and suck everything out. Really wakes you up. I mean, what kind of flavor is that? I honestly don't even want to imagine. I mean, when I was a kid, a bird pooped on my collar, and even after washing it twice, I felt like I could still smell it. Now, if you think that fermented ox was the most you could handle, then I'd advise you to probably skip this next part. I'll give you all 3 seconds to think it over. I'll start in 3 seconds. If you get grossed out in the meantime, don't say I didn't warn you. This is the ultimate delicacy, a true fusion of man and nature, the pinnacle of the culinary arts. It's all about the fusion between a person and their food. And funky walrus fat perfectly embodies this idea. Before you eat it, you have to take a big slab of fat a few days beforehand and tuck it under your armpit. Then whether you're on a long sea voyage or migrating somewhere far away, even if you're sweating buckets and your armpit gets incredibly itchy, you can't take it out. That's because during this time, you need to use the aroma of the fat to lure all the different parasites living on your body to gather there. After 3 to 5 days, when the time is right, you call over your buddies and you all sit around on the floor. The room has to be completely sealed, no air getting in or out, making it nice and toasty inside. Come on, good things are meant to be shared, right? And so one by one from under their armpits, he pulls out this sweaty prized delicacy. And crawling all over it are all sorts of little bugs, living their best lives in the walrus fat. After that, the little guy pulls out a small knife, cuts the walrus fat into small pieces and pops one in his mouth. It's soft and melts in your mouth. Your mouth just starts watering. The little bugs even have an effect similar to pop rocks, giving your taste buds an extra kick. So after you've savored it for a bit, mine's curry flavored. What about yours? Hey, let me try some. Yours is from a mixed breed walrus. I hope all our friends in the audience are doing okay out there. Go ahead, type something to prove you haven't thrown up. I mean, with something this good, how could you bear not to let more of the crew know about it? Say no more. So that more people can experience a delicacy like this, let's smash that like button. So to sum it all up, the diet of the Inuit people is probably one of the most unique in the world, right? But while it's fine for us to look at it as a curiosity, there's absolutely no need to be condescending or look down on it. Because when you get right down to it, what people eat and how they live are just practical choices made to adapt to their environment. Customs can change completely in just 100 miles, let alone across the entire globe. I mean, look at those survival experts on the show alone. You put them in a wilderness packed with resources, and they're calling to tap out in just 3 to 5 days. But the Inuit people have spent their entire lives rooted in the harshest of environments. So even if you can't admire them, you should at least show them respect. On another note, for a people living in the polar regions, even though their diet consists mainly of raw meat and fat year-round, it's said that they are incredibly healthy. They never suffer from cardiovascular diseases. They're all in amazing shape, even the elderly can climb 7 flights of stairs without getting winded and not even look phased. But when I started working on this video and gathering some related information, I discovered this might just be another one of those familiar stories driven by big money. The research on the incredible health of the Inuit people first started back in the 1970s. Later on, Discover magazine published an article called The Inuit Paradox, which really pushed the myth of the Inuit to its peak. But when some research teams actually went to investigate this group up close, they found that the health of the Inuit people wasn't actually that great. Atherosclerosis and rates of cardiovascular disease were similar to those in the West, if not higher. After that, The Lancet published a paper saying that after examining numerous ancient Inuit mummies, they came to the same conclusion. On top of that, because they often eat seals, whales, and other animals high up on the food chain, the Inuit have very high levels of mercury in their bodies. In 1960, a study on the bone density of the Inuit also showed that for everyone from children to the elderly, their bone density was far lower than the global average. Their average life expectancy in the 19th century was only 43.5 years. So what ultimately put the Inuit people on this pedestal was most likely just the multi-billion-dollar fish oil and supplement business behind it all. Of course, this conclusion is just one viewpoint among many, because the traditional Inuit diet actually aligns pretty well with the modern keto diet. Plus the polar climate, the impact of a unique geographical environment on people. In short, the health effects of the Inuit diet are a pretty controversial topic in the academic world. Are there any experts on this watching? We can chat about it in the comments.